That's all right. I was gonna say Misty could run this standard all by herself.
No, thank you.
I
I'll
just
pass.
go pass. Well, luckily this is the easy one. One of the easy ones, I should say. Because faculty standard 2 is all about us. Do we meet our min quals? What are our min quals? What is our expectation from a regulatory board? Are our files, do we have collected the things that we should have collected? And this filters into adjuncts as well. Um, you know, faculty professional
My
development.
speaker?
Huh?
Corinne? I think she might have just lost her speaker.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, I should be hearing something.
The melodic sound of my droning voice about ASIN.
It's all good.
So anyway, Marilyn, have you already said how this is set up? Corinne's heard this one before.
I have not yet.
Okay.
So, Misty, and hi, Karen in clinical. So this is set up as a rolling meeting, okay? And the reason why we did that is it just kind of keeps everything nice and tight and organized with what we're doing with every single one. And then when Constance does all the downloads, this becomes one PDF that goes up to the ASIN repository. So it kind of helps us stay organized, gives us a quick place to get into all the different links that we need. So yeah, you're not searching all over the place to find stuff. So we start with program guidelines and then the 2023 standards. Then we have the information for the state board because the state board will be coming with ASIN at the same time. And then we also have our most recent self-study report. The first link is the overarching report with all standards. And then we have the 2 standard, which is ours. And then we also have standard 1, which everyone needs to know. Everybody really does need to know all the standards, be able to give examples and stories, because Constance and I won't be in any of the ASIN meetings. So because we're considered administrators. I think, Constance, does that still apply to me based on my role with this standard? Or will I be allowed to be in there?
No, because they will meet with all faculty at the same time.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah. So when they meet with the faculty over all the standards, the whole committee will be in there. And what they will do is, depending upon the team lead, they will either start with their questions at standard 1 and go down through all 5. And then they will just start asking everybody questions. The hope is that those who are on a specific standard, once we identify where, what evidence that we're going to be using, the things that they're talking about, that standard 2 team kind of gives a little quick bullet sheet. Because what if you're not here, right? What if Misty goes, I'm going to go on sabbatical because I said this was going to be my last one and I'm just, I'm doing the work. She can, that everybody can have those bullet points of some of those clarifying questions, the questions that you'll be able to find in the program guidelines link. So that's kind of where the hope is. I don't know where you will stand. So anyone over 9 load, more than half of their load, if it is sat in a leadership position or administrative role, non-teaching, then they categorize you as an administrator. And one of the reasons they do that is they're going to ask for job descriptions and all the things that person is doing, but they want to make sure that the faculty have an opportunity to have a conversation without any administrators around. So it's going to be, we'll have to wait and see what the end of this year brings.
Okay.
And then we'll have that discussion. And I can always ask to clarify, I can ask ASIN themselves. Considering you were working within this capacity, are you still able to sit in on the faculty ones?
Okay.
So, and none of us are allowed in the student ones.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the AZBN ASIN data form that we had gone over before in case there's anything you need to reference in there. We're going to make some team agreements about how this committee is going to function. And then we have some goals that we need to meet. And we established this deadline based on ensuring that all of the work is done before we leave for accountability. And the report is due during the summer. So that's why we got to make sure we get everything done based on this timeline. Then each meeting's notes will go on that date, and we'll just keep adding boxes. And then it will also include the pre-work for the next meeting. And then this way, if we're doing our pre-work, we can make sure that we take the time and get the things done and as efficiently as we possibly can. So that's why we created this in this framework. Any questions so far?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And I know, Misty, you've been through a visit before.
Yes, this will be my third and hopefully final.
Okay, great. So if we're just regurgitating something, like give me a head nod so that I get a sense of what you know and what you don't. That way I'm not talking to you crazy, okay?
No worries.
All right. So Constance, would you like to start with standards or the program guidelines?
The 2023 standards and criterion, because this is the thing you haven't done yet, Misty. These are the new standards, and they have really some of the stuff has not changed, but the way we report it, they're looking for really concise. So we linked in here two different things. One is the standards and criterion. The other one is the program guidelines, and the program guidelines are new because they didn't give this to us before, and it actually shows the exact questions that you have to ask on each standard.
Okay.
Right? Wouldn't that have been
That's
nice?
helpful. Yeah.
So if you go to standard 2 in this program guide, right here, so it shows you what the standard is, right? This is how we'll have to outline the document now. We'll have it always will page break. Standard 2 faculty, this will be listed, and then we will start going down by criterion. In each of these criterion, it tells you exactly the things that we have to have, but now they give you focused questions that you can ask yourself, but these are also the questions, if we don't answer, that the ASIN team is going to ask us. So how do you know that you meet the job requirements for the state board? Well, because we know where to find our state regulations where it clearly outlines, and that's a standard, it's that kind of stuff. So it's really helpful that this exists now and doesn't just stay hidden in the ASIN peer reviewer side of it, because this means that you guys can ask and if you start looking through these, you'll be able to tell that I've worked with these things before recently, because these are the things I keep asking everyone for, and they're very specific on it now. So you just go down each one of these, go a little further. And now it also shows you examples of the supporting evidence you need. There is no, well, maybe what might go under that. They tell you, and they tell you if something's required. So one of the things under faculty is the faculty table, right? That faculty table is absolutely required, but in here, it links to it. And so you just pull up their I know, they've made it so much easier.
Yeah. Where was this, many years ago?
Yeah, so it's really nice. It also takes everything down, if it's paper or electronic, what kind of, because this talks about faculty and support staff. So luckily I've been through a couple of these under these now and finding, certain things. There may be some stuff when we go to, in a faculty's file, we may not have their job description, and each one of us has a different job description depending upon when we were hired. So I know I can get those from HR and say, I need the job that this person was hired under, this person was hired under, and we have to make sure their specific one is tucked into those files. So, and I don't know if HR will give it to you guys without me asking, but if Gabe goes in and goes, yeah, I don't have a job description in any of these people, then it might be me going, okay, I need X, Y, and Z. But they tell you exactly what they're looking for to have in there. And if you get to something and you're like, we don't have it, well, we have to get it. And some of them may fall under the faculty need to get it to us. But again, this is why we have been pushing so hard. And then this is the other part. They actually make sure that people understand now, please don't send, there are certain things that we do not send to them. I am not sending everyone's background checks or, the drug screens, or those are private, and those we keep secured. We speak to how we outline these and maintain them, we tell them what's expected to be in them, but they will actually pull every single faculty file and go through them. They don't do the 10% on this one, which is really unfortunate for whoever gets ours, because they're going to be busy for a minute. But they will go through every single file. So can you scroll up a little bit, or down, or up?
All the way back.
No, I mean, drag the mouse down so it goes up, so I can see what's underneath. I never know how to say that to people.
Student records.
Yep, small.
That's it.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So now go back to the standard. Keep going. Keep going. I'm trying to, oh. I'm trying to find one that actually says required versus examples or recommended. Is there one?
I'm looking.
Okay.
Most of the ones that I've seen are just say examples. Like I'm not seeing a lot of them that actually say required versus recommended.
Oh, they're in there. I promise you.
I keep hoping. Like, can we just do the
No, we have to do more than just the basic required. That's just the bare minimum to get us through the door without being, oh, nope, that's part-time. No, it would actually be a whole bar that just says required.
Oh, okay.
So really
Nope.
everything's required anyway.
That's not what I'm talking about. If they require a table, we
Mhm.
have to use their table format.
Oh, you're talking about like a specific formatted one.
It could be a format, it could be a specific thing that they absolutely want to see. Like, I know that I have to print out the National Council's actual physical report as a required piece of evidence.
Gotcha.
I can't just say, well, look, I'm tracking it. Of course I'm at 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Required supporting evidence. So it might be in 12. Required supporting evidence.
These are just the pieces that I have to upload.
Yeah. So let me.
So you guys got lucky there isn't one. I just know that the faculty table is a requirement under this.
Well, and would it be best practice anyways, we're looking at these, if they're providing an example of a table, example of a thing, to just use that?
What do you mean?
Like like in that one, there's a faculty table and there's a link, they like give you an actual format.
Yeah, if they give you
So
a
if they give you a format to just use what they've given you to start with.
It's not to start with. If they give you a required format, we use that format.
Yeah.
Because if there's a required table, I have to put it in the report usually. Versus leaving it as an upload. And that's the other thing that. Go ahead.
What I mean is, like, if they had one in there that's just like here's an option type of thing, but they've given us something to use.
We very rarely do they give options. If they tell us there's a template, then use the template.
Okay.
Most of them are their tables.
Mhm.
Their tables, and especially in this one,
Mm-hmm.
it's just faculty. It's one big giant table as actually what it ends up being at the end that I have to support for them, but then they still want to come in and see how our narrative is on each one of them. So the other part, Misty, nothing, we don't have paper big binders. We don't do a Canvas course anymore. The self-study report gets uploaded, and then all supporting documents have to be in electronic format, and they get uploaded. Then the team comes in, the team chair will come to us, to me, say, you know, we had questions about this, where's this? And then there's a separate folder, and that separate folder is for items they request. So they can even see how much you didn't give to them that they want. So the whole goal is by June 30th that I'm able to have all of that stuff uploaded in there. And again, Criterion 2, the biggest challenge we're going to have with Criterion 2 is the fact that preceptors, we use the term precept, right? We use the term preceptors for transition to practice. However, we have students that are in NNE, right? Preceptors, but they don't give we don't have a say in how they train them. We don't have the individuals. We do not have those individual preceptors' resumes on file. Like, we don't have any of that.
Mhm.
And I watched a program get challenged on this one, and they had to spend their 2.5 days trying to gather preceptors. And it's hard because we don't know who they're going to be. They change from semester to semester. So that preceptor one will be the hardest one out of the standard to address. Because I know that block 4 has a separate set of objectives. They have a separate set of things, but how do we know that person? Like, we are just kind of assuming that the hospital's doing the things that they need to do, but we don't know for sure. So that part we have to clean up, and we may have to invest some time in Jave reaching out. She knows that she holds a key to all kinds of things here. Preceptors, preceptor agreements, any of our partnerships with Honor Health, any of that, she's going to have to pull the legal stuff because they're going to want to see what that. But from my experience in the last 2 visits, they specifically asked, okay, so that's a preceptor. Where's their resume? How do you know they meet the criterion? And for us at Pete, we can't say that we would know. And that's a problem. And it's something that I hadn't thought about because we trust our clinical partners
Yeah.
to ensure that people are trained, that they have been vetted. But I don't know if they have a bachelor's degree. I don't know what their requirements for a preceptor is. So we need to clear that up. And it's okay for us to recognize, hey, you know, we don't know. We know if it's one of our people going out. I know who that is. I know their qualifications, but I have no idea when we send them out into these NNE things and the one that Honor Health, we have no idea who they're being paired with. So that'll be fun. It should take us about a year to get that one straight.
Luckily, we have about a year.
We have about a year, so it's going to be great. Do you have any questions about any of these?
I don't think so.
I mean, these are all the things that we're already asking for. It's the things that we are tracking. It's why, you know, we are so psychotic about, hey guys, you know, I really need you to do sim training. We need you to track it. I have to know that you did it. We have to show when. We have to show when we first did it, when we second did it, because they're really coming in. And I think it's really a great thing for nursing education, those that are accredited by ASIN, because they are putting such a heavy focus on this now. They're putting a heavy focus on orientation of staff and faculty. Like, how is it that, because we know it's a problem and nobody's done a really great job yet of mitigating that in academia, simply because that's not the way academia rolls and they haven't built in space for us. But we can discuss how we have had these conversations with our administration. We can actually demonstrate that. So I don't feel like it's going to be too bad. They may ding us if we don't find that information or if our partners won't share it with us. But if our partners won't share it with us when the clinical partner meeting happens, ASIN's going to ask them, like, how do you pick your preceptors and how do you share that with the like, I've watched them do it. So they have also shifted into kind of a holding the clinical agencies accountable for what they're supposed to be doing to partner with us, which is a shift. And now that you know that 2 is going to be relatively easy, if you want to help on another one on top of it, because you have such diverse and deep experience.
What is it? If you don't make eye contact, they won't call on you?
Yeah.
I don't think that works. I think they still do.
What are our numbers now for full-time faculty and for adjuncts?
Right now, we have 18 full-time faculty. Without Kara, I think it goes to, oh wait, no, shift. Without Kara, it will go to 16. And then is our full-time. And then our adjuncts, I have to go through, do my last firing, but where are we at on that one, Marilyn?
I believe we're at 48.
I was gonna say there's 45-ish or so on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's because I haven't finished cleaning that up yet. I think for me, most of my time has been geared toward making sure all the committees are getting going. And then I just started today getting into all the adjunct stuff, and part of that is, continuing their evals. But with each eval, I've been going through every single thing in their file. I spent the majority of the spring doing that because that was our one thing that was an area of opportunity based on, when we had 6 faculty at one point, and it was Constance doing everything. So that train has been put back on track, and our onboarding has been consistent. We provide the updates, program updates we'll have out. We hoped to have it out sooner, but then we ran into a technology issue with something that could be operationalized going forward with updates. So there's a lot of stuff that I just need to update you all on what I've been doing. And then we also have to figure out the scope of where Misty and Karen can help with adjunct files, because we can't do anything with faculty files. Because those are our peers, you know what I mean?
Well, you can have names. But yeah, they're, creating the tables is great. But yeah, the residential files, unfortunately for me, I am the only one who can kind of navigate those alongside with Gabe. And even Gabe doesn't have all the information that's in them. Just because I'm the only one who can have access versus our adjunct files. And then, again, we just also have to make sure, because Mr. Misty Marshall is
You can just call him the other one.
the other Marshall.
I
Well,
love that.
I've been teasing Chris around here. I'm like, you're going to be known as Mr. Dr. Powers.
There you go.
Mr. Doctor.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
Dr. Powers. It's gonna be great.
So Misty, we've also kind of through these meetings figured out some other ways that we can be proactive in doing stuff on, without having to meet every single time, since calendar structure has been so challenging. So I started creating a crosswalk document, which kind of takes the criterion, if there's a A, B, C, and D, and then what the focus questions are. Okay. So obviously this is not the kind of form that would be operational, but we could say, this one we're missing, this one we're good. Like this could just be a quick reference. And then the other thing was creating an outline, the actual outline of the standard writing. So I'm going to create the outline document with each standard with the question. So then we'll be able to start writing the narrative. So the goal is that we've got all our research done this semester, so we can make recommendations to operationalize next semester. And then we know we have everything we need by spring break. So we want to have everything written, done by spring break. That way, if any edits, clarifications, Constance takes a first pass and is like, nope, that's not going to work. Then we've got some time to pivot. We're trying to stay far, far away from the last 2 weeks of the semester.
Yeah, I also have to take every single standard, put them into one document along with any tables that are required, make sure we have a table of like all of that other stuff, and then one voice it.
Yes.
And we got to get it.
Pages.
Yep, we got to make it all together. We got to do all the fun editor type stuff. But then once that's done, I have to give everyone an opportunity to read it, offer any clarifying points. The whole goal is that everybody in the team has signed off on it before the last day of that semester, so that once, the end of the semester hits, Gabe and I can just go into overdrive and
Mhm.
start populating all of those files and folders that we need to.
Sounds like a plan.
It's gonna
Mhm.
be great. You know, and any changes that come up, we start doing this with what we have now. And we, you know, if you come down and you're like, oh, I found this evidence, put that link, like whatever that may be. And we may already have some of it. So some of this it may be a email to me or to Marilyn or to Corinne. Hey, where is this? The board says these things should be happening. Where do we have that information?
Yeah.
And that way we just have it all together. The whole goal is to have as minimal things that they have to request when they're there with us, because I don't want them sitting in a room if possible. I really want them to be able to see the faculty in action. I
Mhm.
want them to be able to see the students in action. There is something different about the culture and the environment that outside regulators have always noticed when they walk into our building, and they don't get to see that if they sit in a room.
Mhm.
So my goal is to have them have as much as possible answered, to where then it's just having those meetings, really getting to just hang out, see who everyone is, give them some tours of the main campus, feed them the food, you
Mhm.
know, and that will be Tuesday. So I will get them, they will come in on Monday. We will get them to us Tuesday. They will be there all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, and generally, depending upon their flights and where they're coming from, usually back at the airport, heading there by 10 a.m. on Thursday. The other difference, though, that now, before they used to, in a closing exit meeting, be able to tell us what the preliminary is,
They can't do
we
that.
can no longer do that.
Okay.
So we won't actually know. Like we should know if we had a gap somewhere,
Mhm.
but we no longer will get we are recommending, reaccreditation without, like, we don't get that anymore. So I'm kind of bummed. We just found that one out
Mhm.
last month.
Okay.
So,
So how long does that usually take before they tell us?
oh, it can take weeks.
Oh, yay.
Yep. It's got to go through several layers. And yeah,
So they'll do a clinical site visit too, right? On one of those days?
yes, I am looking at that for trying to grab, I'm looking, so we've got Tuesday, Wednesday. That means I'm trying to think of who I have in class, right, to watch. And then
Mhm.
you guys have lab. No, you don't have labs.
We have lab on Wednesdays.
You have labs on Wednesdays.
Mhm.
So the whole,
Block three will have lab or clinical usually.
yeah, I don't know how I feel about Block 3's labs being the ones up right now. I
Mhm.
think I'd really rather have Block 2. It's been running. It's not constantly changing.
Mhm.
It just kind of feels like that's going to be a better one. Because there's been some disarray in the Block 3 ones. I'm not going there. I would rather not. If it all gets cleaned up by the end of, this academic year, then we can change that. But they will also go out to a clinical or two. Not sure, like, we have to set up that as well, but they'll split that. Somebody will go to the clinical, someone's going to be in the lab, somebody is going to want to watch simulation. There will be classroom observations.
Will they be
Now,
staying at the Clarenton?
no, I was I was thinking about it, and
We
then
should, so they're nice and relaxed when they arrive.
Plus, close, so it's right there, it's just real convenient.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to risk that. We did that with Ginny, and luckily she had a good sense of humor.
Okay.
Yeah,
Whole different.
it was a whole different. So
So-
these are going to be the things they're looking for. They'll have, they'll still have the faculty meeting. They'll meet with me every morning, right? As the precursor, kind of, they will talk about anything that they would like to see for that day. Once we have the new agenda templates, then we can start building the agenda as well, with what makes the most sense depending upon what's going on. The whole thing, I'm not gonna lie, is to highlight the really best positive aspects of it, because we already have one big wild card, and that's when they go into the students.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's always a crapshoot, really.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot, and all we do know right now is that our current block twos are going to be our block fours when they're here. So our current block twos, block one, and then our next two block ones, those will be our students. So that's why I know right now our students have no idea what their end of program outcomes are, because I asked and nobody knows what they are. That's on us, and that was put into the charge of the students committee. Like, how do we start getting them ramped up for that? So if you identify anything in here in standard 2 where we can make it better, easier, more efficient to track that data ongoing. Like the
Mhm.
faculty files were a nightmare. And like Marilyn said, that was because it was just me. I was barely able to make the bare minimum hit in there. But
Mhm.
through all of this, we actually did find somebody who we would not have known had we not been like thoroughly deep diving into these files. We found an adjunct that did not have a bachelor's degree.
Oh,
And she had been told that because she had 4 to 6 years of experience, she didn't need that.
no,
Mm.
no,
Yep.
that's fake news.
Yep.
And,
So
you know, to be fair, and I think it's important to be transparent and fair. You know, there was the nursing chair role, as you know, Missy, speaking to the choir, has not been like realistic. So there were gaps before Constance ever took the role. I'm sure before Selena, before. So that was, it's important to mention that too, to kind of just, you know, I respect you taking that, Constance, but it was before you too.
it was. It
Mhm.
was. So,
Mhm.
cleaning up the files, and especially with Gabe now, and Marilyn, hopefully this stuff is going to move much smoother moving forward. We were able to pare down, our 100 adjuncts down to those who are actively working. Just cleaned it up. Oh, you don't want to do the orientation materials. You don't want to participate in the meetings. Okay, well, we wish you the absolute best of luck in your future endeavors. If your situations ever change, please reach back out to us.
Misty,
And
so you know, we have 4 that didn't make it through orientation.
Okay.
That was time and frustration for faculty saved.
Yep.
Mhm.
And it's just, we're here for the students, and it's a job. It's a job when you sign up for it, and all the things that entails, we have an expectation for. I think we had shared with you when you first started, like our adjuncts are not just showing up and what do I do? No, you're getting paid very well. You are a faculty member. We need you to be participating in this to the full extent.
Mhm.
So some other things to do for today's meeting is that we have to decide what our team agreements are going to be. So the first one, of course, is that calendars are current, even if it's, I need to go pick up kids, just put your out of office in there. Block 4 identified that student meetings, because they allow students to self-schedule, don't take up a spot. So you don't really know when you're looking at something if there's student meetings. So I encouraged faculty to block out the time with the student meetings, additional appointment. And then if we send out a calendar invite and we can't get everybody, we can say, hey, can anybody move meetings? And then we can be flexible in that regard. So is your calendar current, my friend?
My calendar is current at least through October. That much I can say.
Through October.
I would like to delete mine through October.
Corinne, yours is current, right?
I believe so.
Constance, yes, and then Karen, not sure.
And my
Alright.
big stuff is on like, through
Yeah.
the end of the semester, like when I'm in class and lab and all of that. So just
Yeah.
Office
Well,
hours stuff, I only have through October right now.
yeah, and folks weren't even putting that down. So like I have people declining meetings, like very important, you know, and they're like, yeah, I'm in class. Well, how am I supposed to know that? That doesn't change, right?
Mhm.
All right. So attendance, what's our agreement around attendance? I'm okay with virtual meetings so we can attend from wherever, but there has to be consistency, especially this committee, because it's the smallest committee. It's essentially me, you, and Karen. You know what I mean? Corinne's here for, you know, onboarding for faculty and sim and all that, but like as far as writing, it's mostly gonna be us. And then Corinne with your simulation part.
Yep.
So if for me, I've been saying this to every committee, if the meeting pattern doesn't work for your schedule, we're asking people to go to a different committee. Because it just is never gonna work, and then you're a non-participatory person that's not owning what they need to do. Do you see what I mean? So just I've been transparently sharing that with everybody.
Oh, I
Okay.
will say that one thing that will make your work a little bit easier, and it can come from this committee, right? Is asking faculty for their last 3 years, right? Last 3 years of presentations, conferences, professional development, and let them do that. And then you already have that for the faculty table because they
Mhm.
ask for it.
And then
And
Misty,
then,
you're gonna love me because I already have something going.
well, but we need them to address what
Yeah.
they're doing.
Yes. Wait till you see. It's going out with the program updates.
Look
It's a
how cute
form.
she is. It's gonna be good. Look how she's just dying for us to see it. Look at her.
Well, like my job is to like make this easier
Mhm.
for everybody, right?
Yep.
So that's why I was reassigned. So I'm doing my job and I'm happy about it.
And
Yes,
we
you are.
appreciate you.
Okay,
Yes.
so my thought is that we continue to record. We've been
Mhm.
finding that to be super successful with the other committees. So how do you feel about that, Misty?
That's fine.
Okay. And then how often will we like to meet? My first recommendation is to meet in 2 weeks so that everybody's got the chance to kind of just look over the standard, understand the standard, make a comparison between our last report and this one, just to understand how it was approached, what was missing then, is it still missing, like a comparison and contrast. So that's in the pre-work. Would that work?
Yeah, I think that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, and you have to be very careful because the standards did change.
Yes.
So some of that stuff is no longer relevant. And I will share that while there may be things that are still very similar that you could use, it could use some it could it could use some better writing.
Zhush it. Can you
That's
zhush?
what we'll call it. Yeah, it's just it needs to be a little more concise. And yeah, I'll just needs to be more concise.
If you can say it in 3 words, say it in 3 words, not 3 paragraphs.
Exactly. Yeah. They really don't look we don't need the fluff. Answer the questions with the demonstrated evidence and then tell us where to find it. That's what they need. The big 300-page reports, they really don't want that anymore.
I mean, can't blame them. That's a
Yeah.
lot to read through.
Yeah, I have to do 3 reports for my upcoming visit because there are 3 different programs. And I just found out that there's another program. So
How long will our meetings be? And do we need working meetings or can we present to our meetings with stuff done and then just meet and then establish the next thing? What are your thoughts, Misty?
My preference is, do the work on our own time and then come to the meeting and present.
How long do we think our meetings should be?
You tell me. I I don't know.
I say an hour, we try an hour and then see more.
Yeah, we can always adjust if.
and if there's a shared document that you guys are able to work on, everyone's going to see where you're at. Using the commenting functions is a great way to continue to have the conversation so that like if you come to something that you just can't move past, then when you meet, that's a great time to figure out what that solution is.
I'm gonna defer this question about how we want to approach it. Some initial thoughts from the other committee is we just split up the standards and we know which ones we're responsible for. But I think with this committee, it's gonna be a little different based on the nuance between faculty, staff, and all those other things. So we might need to defer that. And then our specific date where we want to provide faculty with any recommendations. And I think a part of this is students. Students don't understand our role. They only understand that we have power over and we're a gateway. They don't know anything about our standards. So my thought was November before Thanksgiving to give people time to pivot. But we need to pick a date.
How much before Thanksgiving are you thinking?
I'm open to what everyone's feeling about that.
I'm looking at my calendar. That's not fully updated in November yet.
Okay.
Let's see.
We can pick a week in the month.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've been kind of sticking with before Thanksgiving type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, our department meeting is that Monday, the 25th. So, I mean, maybe before that would make sense. And then if
Second week of November?
yeah.
All right, our final goal is that we establish a plan for this committee for ongoing, because scrambling the year before ASIN does not feel good, and I don't ever want to do this again. So maybe we can figure out how to, or what we could do for the program going forward. It also helps the new faculty too that come on board. You know, poor Fatima and Kara's heads are spinning, you know, with trying to navigate all this and learn ASIN at the same time. So, okay. What else? So here's the pre-work for the next meeting. So review the program guidelines for standard 2, review the self-study. And then finding evidence in the report. And then for us, any regulations or advisory opinions with the board. So I wanted to kind of go back up to those links here real quick. So here is the role of the clinical instructor, which is one that we have in our PC faculty course, because we review this with every adjunct when they're onboarded. So that's a big one to look at. And then we also have some of the simulation education use of simulation in the program. There's some verbiage there for faculty. And then in the advisory, the regulations, this is one that I actually discovered, never understood, that here are the regulations for the board. So it's pretty cool because I never seen that link before. It's like this tiny little link in the corner that nobody can find. Yeah. So when you go in here under the Nurse Practice Act, it's like like statutes and rules over here. But Nurse Practice Act is mostly bedside practice, not so much related to education, because I kind of went through all of it. So that's rules right here. That's that link that I put here to make our lives easier. Thoughts, Misty, because you do have experience in this.
I know, but I do it every 7-8 years, and then I block it out until it's time to do it again.
I get it, a trauma block.
Well, but you know what? It's like, we'll be fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have any concerns that way. Like, you know, just show what we're doing and keep doing what we're doing and get it all written up. And yeah,
Especially with our outcomes the way they are.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
our outcomes are outperforming any national or state level requirements that we have. So, and those are really some of the big ones that are there. And it's just getting everyone on the same page on how to report out end of program student learning outcomes, which I can help with. but I want to see how far standard 5 gets with that to
Mhm.
be able to understand it. But if I'm not worried,
Yeah.
you guys are doing the things. All of the worry I would have had, you've heard over the past, 2 to 3 years as I've been like, okay, guys, I just need this data. So my psychosis for the past 3 years, hopefully will make this a little bit easier now.
Well, and I think we do a good job of like, I mean, we know what our areas of opportunity are. We're already actively working to address them. Like, I don't foresee like them uncovering something that we're just like, huh? Like, it's
No.
nothing. I don't think anything's going to come as a big shock or.
And it shouldn't, because the Board of Nursing has been up our behinds
Right.
for 2 years.
And this will give them a chance to come back again. So that'll be nice.
Right. Well, I found out, I'm very curious now if Dr. Bitsa will come here, since she has been the primary investigator on our probation, because Gateway shared that they have the exact same dates as us.
Yes, that's right.
So there are 2 ASIN teams that will be descending at the same time, one for Gateway, one for us.
We'll see what we get.
Wonderful. Well, it's 1:53, so we are perfectly on schedule. Does anybody have any other thoughts? I will put the recordings in under Phoenix College. So I'm gonna say, meeting recordings, and then today is 9/9. And then once this renders, I will attach it, for reference.
And are we gonna shoot for Mondays, like in 2 weeks, or are we gonna just kind of?
I was doing a
Someone
find the
can see.
time with everyone's schedule.
Hmm.
If you prefer Mondays, I can strive for that.
Well, I mean, I just know Karen's clinicals just started today,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
5 weeks on a Monday, so that would be tough for her.
yeah, we'll figure it out. I definitely will do everything I can to make sure she's there. Because if not, then, like I said, we're telling everyone, if the meeting rotation doesn't work for you, please find another committee. Because it's
Mhm.
just not equitable for us to do it any other way, in my opinion.
Well, and I differ in my opinion of that one, because if you can watch the recording and still participate and do the work, there's not going to be a time, because people are lecturing in the morning, the afternoons, they go to clinical. It becomes very difficult because I don't want anyone logging in when they are supposed to be someplace else.
Mhm.
So like
fair.
Karen could have found a place today, but I was like, I've already told everybody, you got to be there with the students. But if somebody is unable or unwilling to do the work and stay up to date with it, then absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's more of what I mean with it. Like, it
Yeah.
never works for them. The schedule never works for them to me. That's more
Yeah.
I should be clearer in my statement.
Yeah, because otherwise it comes off sounding like me being harsh.
No, I don't intend it as harsh. I just, I don't want to be on a committee where, 2 people are doing work and everybody else is like, oh yeah, I watched the recording and they're not following through,
Yeah.
So
No.
that's where that's coming from. But I will soften that message.
All right.
Noted.
So we'll just look for something, in approximately 2 weeks as far as our next meeting.
Absolutely.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
Something else? Everybody good?
Nope. Misty's got writing to do. She's got to go.
Oh, I'm on page 4.
Okay.
I'm going through the handbook, very meticulously and making sure I
Thank
don't miss anything else that may be relevant.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
all over it.
All
You
right. Well, I will let
amazing.
everyone go. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Have a good
guys.
one.